Welcome into Brewers Daily. I am your host, Dave Gasper. We're coming at you every single day with fresh Brewers content covering your favorite team. And I'm very excited for episode 3 here. We got lots coming up. The GM meetings continue to be underway in Las Vegas, which has given us news, it's given us rumors, it's given us a lot of stuff to talk about here as the offseason is really just starting to get going here with the GMs talking to each other. Everyone's getting a sense of what their needs are, what other teams' needs are, and where things can go from there. We'll talk about that and what that could mean for the outfield situation coming up here on the podcast as well, as we've seen rumors come out about that. But first, I want to start with Matt Arnold's comments on the Brewers' ace, one of their co-aces, Brandon Woodruff. The Brewers gave Brandon Woodruff a qualifying offer for just over $22 million for next season. Woodruff has until the 18th to accept or reject that offer, and so that means while he has a little less than a week now here to decide what he wants to do. Matt Arnold talked to reporters at the GM meetings, and he said that they want to keep Woodruff. They're focused on keeping him and bringing him back. They know that he's a big game pitcher, and he fits competitively what they want to do on the field. And he's been a leader in that clubhouse. They absolutely love what he brings to the team. So Matt Arnold telling us that he wants to bring Brandon Woodruff back. So that's a very significant development here because Brandon Woodruff, the question kind of has always been here, are they going to try to bring him back with him reaching for agency, with him getting the money that he's going to end up getting as a starting pitcher? I mean, $22 million for one season, that's not nothing. I mean, for the Brewers, that'd be their second highest paid player on the team. And, are they going to want to do that for 1 year? They've clearly made the offer. They're willing to make that investment. But are they willing to do that for 2 years, 3 years? Woodruff is likely seeking a multi-year deal here on the open market. His last chance probably for a multi-year deal in his career. He's only made 12 starts, since shoulder surgery back in 2023. So, there's not quite a ton on the stat sheet lately. But the Brewers know Woodruff. They've known him for years. They've known him. They drafted him back in the 11th round out of Mississippi State back in 2014. They've watched him grow up here, and they've helped develop him into the ace that he is. And I think that relationship that they have with Woodruff helps them be comfortable with extending a little bit in order to bring him back. And I'm very excited to see that Matt Arnold is willing to talk about this and willing to straight up say, we want Brandon Woodruff back on this team. We'll see if he's able to put his money where his mouth is, because other teams are likely going to be interested in Woodruff as well. And we'll see how far they're willing to stretch for a guy who only had 12 starts coming off of shoulder surgery this past year, ended the year on an injury. The lat strain was sort of a side effect, but it's not the actual shoulder injury. It's not anything related to a re-injury there. So he should be back to full strength next year, and you'd expect him to continue to be better and be healthy going forward. So we'll see what kind of multi-year deals are on the table and how far the Brewers are willing to go to get him. I think 2 or 3 years is very reasonable to expect for Woodruff, and I think that's something that we can expect to see the Brewers be willing to look at if they indeed want him back that strongly. So that's kind of one of the big things that came out of Matt Arnold talking at the MLB GM meetings in Las Vegas. The winter meetings are coming up in a couple of weeks, but the GM meetings are where things really end up getting started. And also, Matt Arnold was asked about Freddie Peralta as well. Now, we've kind of covered Freddie Peralta a little bit here, and he's been the other big piece that everyone's talking about with the Brewers offseason. Is Freddie Peralta going to come back because he's heading into the last year of his contract, an $8 million club option, and typically pitchers like Freddie, with a year to go, the Brewers have a history of trading guys like that away. So are they going to do the same? And Matt Arnold, talking at the GM meetings, said that he's receiving calls. Just about everyone is interested in Freddie Peralta, which is not a surprise in the slightest. That everyone's interested in him, given how good he is and given the price tag for his salary. But they're going to have to be blown away by teams wanting to get Freddie Peralta. They are planning on keeping him heading into next season. They plan on him being that Willie Adames type guy who stays through to free agency, and the Brewers can give him a qualifying offer next winter and recoup a draft pick once he does sign elsewhere. So there's nothing really new there from Matt Arnold, just kind of confirming what we already figured, that they're going to be willing to listen because they have to be willing to listen. And they're a small market team. They know what their situation is. They're going to be willing to listen for offers. And if everyone's interested, we'll see how much they're willing to pay and if they're willing to meet the Brewers' price, because it's understandably going to be a high one, especially if they don't get Brandon Woodruff back. You need someone to lead that rotation next year, and Freddie Peralta, you have full control over what happens there. Now, if the Brewers do end up bringing Brandon Woodruff back into the fold, we'll see what the price tag is eventually on Freddie Peralta. But it sounds like from what Matt Arnold is saying, that they'd be very comfortable having Peralta and Woodruff as your 1-2 in the starting rotation next year, and have the final 3 spots in the starting rotation filled out by the young guys, the mix that they have there, which I think makes a ton of sense. And I'd be excited to see that rotation and what it's able to bring. But moving on now to the outfield, because we're seeing some rumors there as well coming from John Morosi that a lot of teams this offseason are seeking an everyday outfielder out on the market. So the Brewers, they have quite a bit of outfielders. They have some outfield depth that they've accumulated over the years. You got Sal Frelick, you got Jackson Chourio, you've got Blake Perkins, you got Christian Yelich, Isaac Collins emerged this year, and when healthy, you have Garrett Mitchell as well. You've got a pretty strong group of outfielders there. Could the Brewers potentially trade from them? I think it's entirely possible because, again, as Matt Arnold has talked about numerous times, they are open to just about anything. And with their outfield group, with Mitchell coming back, again, I don't know how much you can expect out of Garrett Mitchell just because he's been injured so much. We haven't seen him play a full season, which makes it so hard to project having him in a spot for a full year. But, they've talked about Christian Yelich maybe playing a bit more outfield next year. I'm still not entirely sold on that idea. So if you're looking at that outfield group, Isaac Collins may be a solid sell-high candidate here. I mean, Collins is coming off a 4th place finish in Rookie of the Year voting. Really broke out, had a strong season, showed himself to be a pretty solid regular in left field. Had a little bit of regression towards the end of the year. But I think his stock is up a little bit, and if teams are looking and they're desperate for kind of an everyday outfielder, Isaac Collins could be a very, very solid candidate, very solid sell-high candidate for Matt Arnold to put out there. Garrett Mitchell is someone as well who I think could be a trade candidate just because, he came up with so much fanfare, the first-round pick in 2020, one of the top prospects, made his debut in 2022, it was fantastic, but he's missed so much time, so he's kind of lost his starting gig out there in the outfield, which kind of makes you wonder if he'd be a trade candidate as well. But you'd be selling low on Garrett Mitchell right now because the ceiling that Mitchell has is incredibly high. It is as high as anyone on this team, really. Probably just underneath Jackson Chourio's ceiling. It is incredible what he can be if he can just be healthy. So right now, since he has less than 162 games under his belt and he's hitting arbitration, in his entire career over 4 seasons, he has less than 162 games under his belt. So you'd be selling incredibly low on Mitchell, on a first-round pick, on a top 100 prospect. I don't envision the Brewers really wanting to trade Garrett Mitchell in that situation. I imagine they're going to get calls. There's going to be if I'm a GM of another team, I'm calling about Garrett Mitchell because I see that talent. I see how tantalizing it is, and this is an incredible buy low opportunities for other teams, for other GMs. If I'm looking for an everyday outfielder, and I believe that Garrett Mitchell can be healthy and can be a star when healthy, I'd be making that move, and I'm buying low to do it. But if I'm Matt Arnold, I'm not selling low. I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to hold on to this prospect stock here. And I'm going to see what will happen once it finally gets a chance to bloom, once it finally gets a chance to be healthy. I'm not giving up on it quite yet. So for me, if I'm Matt Arnold, I'm looking at, hey, look, we've got a proven everyday guy over here in Isaac Collins, who just had a 4th place finish in Rookie of the Year voting. I think that's a very real possibility that the Brewers could move on from Collins. That could clear some room for Garrett Mitchell, and also maybe clear room to bring in someone else for the outfield. I mean, maybe the Brewers are also looking for some outfield assistance, and that's where I kind of turn to, just kind of looking at it as a free agent possibility. I'm looking at Willie Castro, potentially. Now, Castro was someone that was talked about quite a bit as a potential Brewers trade target back in July when he was with the Twins, and Brewers were looking for some additional help there on the bench. And Castro ends up going to the Cubs, going to the Brewers' division rival that they were battling for the division with. And Castro now a free agent. So could he become a Brewer now that they don't have to deal with giving up prospects to get him? I think it's possible that the Brewers could look that way, but I'm also not sold that that's going to be the solution, that's going to be where the Brewers end up going with Willie Castro. And Castro is a slightly above average bat. The past couple of years, he's had an OPS plus of around 104, 105. So just a little bit above league average. Some decent pop, hits for a decent average as well. But he can play all over the field. He can play second, he can play third, he can play left field, he can play right field. He can play a little bit of short if you need him to as well. The Brewers likely aren't going to ask him to, but he'd be a versatile kind of super utility type guy, kind of like Andrew Monasterio, but with probably a slightly better bat than Monasterio, although Monasterio did have a fantastic season this year. But Willie Castro, as much as he can play everywhere, he's not exactly super great anywhere defensively. His glove is pretty bad. It's well below average. His range at any given position is fairly below average. He's got very good arm strength, which is nice, especially if you're putting him in the outfield. That's a very good possibility. But the defense is not that great for Willie Castro. And if we know anything about the Brewers, we know they prioritize defense when it comes to position players and where they're putting them. The defense is incredibly important. And if you don't have it, if you're not that good defensively, the Brewers probably aren't going to be super interested in you. I mean, really the only places where they're not looking as hard at defense are probably going to be your first base type guys. I mean, that's probably about it. First base might be the only spot where they're just kind of met on defense. But I mean, every other spot in the infield, all the spots in the outfield, catcher, defense is super, super important to them. So I think with that, Willie Castro, as much as he's been an often talked about target by Brewers fans, I'm not convinced that he's actually going to be a target for this Brewers front office as they go through this offseason. If they're looking for some outfield help, I mean, he is a candidate. He is someone who probably fit in the Brewers' price range, but I'm not sure that he fits the profile as a ball player that the Brewers are going to be looking for when it comes to free agency, when it comes to filling outfield spots. I think he'd be a great super utility guy, but the Brewers tend to like different types of players than that. But he's been talked about by Brewers fans for several months as someone who might make a ton of sense. And if that outfield market is going to be moving, perhaps the Brewers are going to end up getting involved in some way, in some capacity. But time will tell as the offseason continues. These are still the early conversations on the season. And there's plenty of moves to be made coming up here as Matt Arnold's going through the GM meetings. The offseason just getting underway, and we will be with you every step of the way, every single day here on Brewers Daily, your new favorite daily Brewers podcast. And be sure to subscribe on YouTube and get the notifications for every single time we drop a new episode. And never miss a single one, because we got great stuff that's going to be coming out as the offseason churns along, talking about who could be the next Milwaukee Brewer, who could be trade targets, who could be free agent targets, what Matt Arnold might do in order to help better this roster heading into 2026. That'll do it for this episode. Again, be sure to subscribe on YouTube at Brewers Daily and follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. Thank you for listening. This has been another episode of Brewers Daily.